Too early to explore the universe. Too late to explore the world. Just in time to call Bethesda gay on the internet. It's a humble life, what can I say?
All right, let's go back to March 2021. Microsoft just purchased ZeniMax for $7.5 billion. Reports come out that Bethesda is still in charge of their IP, though. Everything has to go through Todd. So,
$7 billion for literally Starfield, by the way. That's what they got. That was the deal. And that is one of the worst things I have seen in my life. Concord looks like a playful mistake compared to Starfield.
5 years go by. The Fallout TV show is a huge hit. Fallout is just more popular than ever. But 5 years have gone by. And the only way to play new Fallout content is through Fallout 76 updates. No new game is.
You know what's the worst part about this? He's completely right. The Fallout TV show happened, and it was a massive hit. No one expected it to be this absolutely unbelievably big. And it got so much new people into Fallout, and in Bethesda in general, to be honest. And people wanted to play the games and whatnot. And what did they get? They got an unplayable, broken Fallout 4, and people said, "Oh, just mod it and it's gonna be fine." What do you mean mod it and it's gonna be fine? Most people don't know what the average normie has no idea what the word mod even means. And then there was 76. Bethesda got so lucky with all of these new people just flooding to their IP, and they couldn't keep a single one of them. All of them have left at this point and completely abandoned the IP.
Been greenlit, and Fallout 5 won't come until probably the late 2030s. Now, Xbox has been run by a gamer for over a decade, and things have never been worse. Phil gets replaced by Asha, who is notably not a gamer, and Asha takes a look at Xbox's most popular IP and sees Fallout and Elder Scrolls haven't had a release in 11 and 15 years. You know, real, actual releases. So Asha goes online and sees fans do in fact still love these franchises, and within a couple of months of being in charge, has seen the most obvious move available to them and acted on it. And I kinda see it like this. At the top you have Xbox, and then there's Bethesda Game Studios and Obsidian. Bethesda has their IP with Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Starfield, and then Oblivion has a whole bunch of things going on over there, including.
You know what I think is gonna happen? Fallout and the Elder Scrolls are gonna just get put on ice. This is the future that I see. Elder Scrolls 6 gets made, Fallout gets made, whatever. Starfield's already on ice, even though it had a massive, massive amount of people playing it. It's still a 100% a disaster. But these games, when the new Fallout comes out and when the new Elder Scrolls come out, they're not going to be good games. They're gonna be trash. Obsidian has literally no chance at making a good Fallout. Even if you want to ironically believe that Obsidian is the best chance for Fallout moving forward, I would like to remind everyone that Bethesda has a full overview of what Obsidian is doing with Fallout, aka Todd's still in charge. So even if you're happy about the Bethesda losing the rights to Fallout to a degree, they're still actually in charge. Now, we could be in for the super upset miracle, aka Obsidian makes a bad game, as they will. Fallout is gonna be trash. If you have seen Avowed or The Outer Worlds 2, you know Fallout has no shot at being a successful or even a mediocre experience. It's gonna be pure shit. There is the offset chance, though, that Obsidian makes the worst game possible, and Bethesda, in their 100 already confirmed attempt at sabotaging the release, may actually make it better, which would be hilarious.
Including two mystery projects. Now, of course, the head of Xbox was Phil Spencer. And I think Phil would think to himself, I'm going to go and find out what my developers are doing. So he would come down to Bethesda Game Studios and he would, knock on the door. And of course, Todd would come out and, these guys are good friends. They've known each other for a while. And I
Why?
imagine Phil would be curious about what's going on with the various projects over at Bethesda. He would ask how Elder Scrolls is going, and I'm sure Todd would lie and say, they're getting there. Everything's moving along nice and smoothly. Phil might come down here, and then he might just walk past that one, and you'd come over here, and you'd say, well, what's going on with this one, Todd? And Todd would be like, oh, well, that one, oh, we're doing more with that one than we ever have before. Like, Phil, have you tried Fallout 76 recently? And we can only assume that Phil would be satisfied with this conversation. He'd be like,
Hasn't Phil Spencer confirmed, by the way, that he has played these games, that he liked 76?
oh, I'm so glad you're doing so much with Fallout, Todd. Oh, I can't wait to see Elder Scrolls. I can't wait, Todd. He'd probably get a good whiff of Todd's aura while he's there. And he'd walk his happy ass right back to Xbox and just do nothing. Todd would wipe his brow because he dodged another bullet from what could have been, maybe some management coming down on him. And he'd walk his happy ass back into Bethesda and continue to do nothing as well. But eventually, you can't run a business like this, and Phil got tossed out. This is when we got Asha, and while she might look friendly on the outside, I think there's a little something going on in there. Asha does not.
I think there's nothing going on in here. Asha Sharma is supposed to be an AI expert, and that's it. Let's not forget, when she came in, Xbox made a fake gamer account for her, and then she used AI to answer people's questions about her favorite gaming franchises and shit, even though she has never played a video game in her life, okay? Let's not get it twisted here. Ash Sharma already started off as a fake pretender. And the worst part is, before people knew who she was the person in charge of Microsoft Copilot. A piece of shit that doesn't work. AI related, obviously. And the funny part about her history is, you can see that she has been in a lot of podcasts, actually, in the past, 5-ish years or so. And all of them are pretty much AI related. And all of those podcasts, I'll summarize them so you don't have to look. But all of those podcasts are the same. She comes in some kind of tech podcast, and then she starts yapping about AI as a woman do. And the literal every single podcast that she appears on, before people knew who she was, the comments were just full of, does she even know what she's talking about? It seems like she doesn't. I don't know anything about technology. I consider it magic. But even I can tell that Asha has absolutely no idea what the fuck AI is supposed to do, how it works, or whatever. She just effectively says buzzwords. And that's the person in charge of everything. Ain't that beautiful?
Like inefficiencies. So when Asha took over Xbox and, she was thinking about what her developers are doing, I imagine she eventually made her way over to Bethesda Game Studios and, knocked on the door. Todd came out and he thought, oh, this will be an easy one, right? Asha started asking questions, hey, Todd, where's this one at? Todd probably tried his bullshit answers, which that may have gotten him somewhere with the Elder Scrolls because they are in production and everything.
He probably said 20 years away.
Like that. I'm sure Asha was a little bit more understanding when it came to something that they're actively making, at least. But eventually, you have to imagine that Asha came over here and was like, well, Todd, I see a lot of people online like this one. And so Todd thought, I've done this a million times. I can dodge this one again. Well, you see, Asha, we're doing more with Fallout than we ever have before. Have you seen 76? And Asha probably turned to him and said, yes, Todd, I have seen Fallout 76. It's not your greatest work, I wouldn't say. Todd, we have another studio with a lot of people that have experience with this IP here. And this is where I can only imagine Todd got kind of sad.
Had experience at one point. Old Obsidian is gone.
Because he knew where things were going. Yeah, Todd, I think we're gonna let them take a crack at it. As she turned around and she grabbed her Fallout IP, and I imagine she walked right over to Obsidian, where she then looked at some things people like, but it's just she's a numbers kind of girl. It's just probably just not the kind of stuff she's looking at, especially that one. And apparently down here, one of these mystery projects looked a lot like Fallout. Asha probably wondered, what should I do here? I don't think it was really that big of a decision. She just kind of took everything Obsidian was working on and, well, And then she took Fallout and she just kind of placed it right there. She called that a job done, turned around, and went right back to Xbox. And I just want to point out how poetic this is. I mean, Bethesda was incredibly aggressive in obtaining the Fallout IP from Interplay. And so, after over 15 years of Bethesda being in basically sole control of Fallout, it only took a few months of a new boss to just give the IP right back to Obsidian. And I'm not saying that Obsidian literally owns the IP or anything now. I mean, as we can all tell, Xbox clearly owns the IP right now. But I
True.
think it's important to realize that Todd does not get to make the decisions on Fallout anymore. And of course, I'm sorry for anybody who was looking forward to Avowed 2.
Okay, so the thing is, if you agree with all of this, and you kind of should, this is a relatively decent explanation of what's happening. I mean, a little bit scuffed, but it's pretty good. I like it. The thing is, why the fuck is Todd not fired? That's the question you should be asking yourself. How is Todd, in fact, not fired? Like, what does he even do? What do you even do around here, Todd? What's the point of you? You're the spokesperson, and yet you have been dodging cameras since Starfield. So what's exactly the point of you, my sweet dear summer child? Like, isn't it time to just get rid of Todd? Again, I know, I have been saying this for more than a year at this point. Probably close to a year and a half that Todd's gonna get fired, but Todd's gonna get fired. I mean, it doesn't even make sense that he has lasted this long.
maybe like 12 of you. But this right here just clearly is the better decision. It's best for business, and it's just what I wanted, so I'm happy for it. And I know you've seen a thumbnail, an article, a full video. I know you know about this. But there is a new Fallout game reportedly coming from Obsidian. Now, of course, reportedly means it's a rumor, so it's like insider info or something. But it is important to mention that this is directly from Jason Schreier. The article I'm using.
Not even from Jason Schreier, doesn't matter, honestly, at this point. Most of these rumors have been right, majority right, for the past couple of years. So, I mean, this is kind of reliable, honestly, because a lot of people just speak out about this, and that's kind of it.
At the top is Forbes, and this is from Paul Tassi, but that's just because Bloomberg wants money from me to read their articles. Just for credibility's sake, a few things that Jason has gotten right. He accurately predicted that Fallout 4 was set in Boston in 2013. Of course, it wasn't revealed until 2015 that was true. He also leaked an entire script for Fallout 4's main storyline. He called Xbox closing Arcane, Tango, and other studios before it happened. He was right about 2023 epic layoffs before it happened. He called The Last of Us Online being shut down, and just among many other things. There are some people that for some reason don't like Jason. I don't care. He's right about things, and that's what I care about. Something incredibly important with this news is that Josh Sawyer is reportedly going to be like the project lead of this game. He is, of course, most known for being the project director on Fallout New Vegas. And that just lends a ton of credibility to the project in general. But it doesn't stop with Josh. There are actually a lot of.
No. He's all, yeah, but he's also the guy who worked and had a lot of influence on Avowed and the Other Worlds, too. They got a bunch of people from old Bethesda working, yeah. But it doesn't matter. All of them are washed up and done.
People working at Obsidian right now that will assumingly be working on this game because it's basically the only thing Obsidian is doing right now. Of course, one of them is Fergus. He has been there since the start. He was the division director on Fallout 1, and he had 4 different high-level roles for Fallout 2. He was also the CEO of Obsidian during New Vegas. Now, Fergus is more of an executive type role. He is not really part of making the games, I don't think. But don't worry, because we have Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine is probably a name that you know. He is the original creator of Fallout. He also has a YouTube channel that you should.
Yeah, he also said that the Fallout TV series did not change any lore, and it's actually all genius and good and great. Which is pretty much poison to any Fallout fan. Any true Fallout fan who's not a tourist knows that the TV show was absolute shit. It was normie trash. It was tourist central. For anyone who actually likes the Fallout TV show, it destroyed all the lore it touched. It destroyed the Brotherhood, it destroyed this, it destroyed the setting, it destroyed ghouls, it destroyed everything. There is not a single thing the Fallout TV series did not touch that didn't turn out to be abysmal garbage. Not a single thing. There are no excuses. There are no exceptions. And Tim Kaine, oh man, I wonder if Tim Kaine actually knew that this is somehow going to happen. Because we have talked about Tim Kaine quite a lot. And the thing is, Tim Kaine has been effectively begging on his knees for Microsoft to give him a Fallout job, or honestly, any job, it seems like, at this point, for like a year or two. He has pretty much been just there, right in front of Xbox, wishing upon a star that something like this happens. And now it's happening.
Definitely check out. And for Fallout 1, he was the producer, lead programmer, and original game designer. And he also did original game design for Fallout 2. Now, Tim Kaine notably didn't work on New Vegas, so he is more of an OG Fallout type guy. I mean, the entire thing was his idea to begin with. And also along
To be fair, I only can imagine that Tim Kaine is there for the idea that he was someone who, pretty much the guy who, again, invented the Fallout universe to a degree. So, I mean, there's only one reason why he would be there, right? And that is that. So, this is kind of interesting. I will admit, I don't think this is gonna work out. At this early of a draft stage, I think the new Fallout IP is fucked. But I do think this is, unironically though, also the best shot we have at a Fallout game that's not completely abysmal. So here's hoping that time passes and we get stuff and I look at it and I'm like instantaneously, yeah, this is not garbage. That would be amazing. I would love that.
entire thing was his idea to begin with. And also along those lines, we have Leonard Boyarsky. He was the lead artist, art director, and also did original game design for Fallout 1. And he also did original game design for
The Obsidian lead artist, by the way, got fired. Which is, oh my god, that was so good, okay? That guy, oh man, what an idiot.
Fallout 2. Now, sort of a fun fact is that Leonard, Tremel Ray Isaac, and George Almond were basically the art team that created Vault Boy and all of the various cards and everything that were in the original Fallout games. And last but certainly not least, we have John Gonzalez, and he was the lead creative designer and writer for New Vegas. He is credited with many characters such as Mr. House, Yes Man, Benny, and many more. There are even more people at Obsidian that worked on the original Fallout games and on Fallout New Vegas, and sadly we are missing.
I actually should look into this guy because I know that he was the writer, but I have not checked what he is doing in the modern day. Because in the modern day, again, we have Tim Kaine has done absolutely nothing, just begged Xbox for work. John Sawyer has done nothing of value except make the Elder Worlds 2 and Avowed, which is no value as we understand. Leonid Boyarsky, I think he's also just like a minor character somewhere in some shitty WoW games. And Ergson, I don't really know what he's doing.
Chris Avallone, who was incredibly important to Fallout 2 and New Vegas. But in spite of that, we still have an amazing Fallout team here, and I really just can't wait to see what they do. Paul Tassie's article goes on to say, it seems like we are entering something of a common sense era for Xbox in terms of many major decisions.
No, I talked about this. Xbox have this strange habit of losing money, then being like, oh, time to fire all the worthless people, and then they fire all the worthless people who are woke. And then, because Xbox is a company that does not admit that the concept of wokeness is even real, they proceed just to keep doing the woke things and keep hiring woke people. And yeah, then you kind of end up being in the same position you started in after a couple of years. This is called the Microsoft paradox.
Being made, such as immediately reducing the absurd 50% price hike on Game Pass, which instantly lost the service millions of subscribers. And he goes on to point out why this was so common sense to do. He says Obsidian's Avowed underperformed, yet a sequel was greenlit anyway. And if we check the Steam charts, we can see that it peaked at under 20k, which just isn't where you want to be, with a current player base of about 500. He points out that Obsidian is widely known for New Vegas, and that Bethesda was not slated to release a new mainline Fallout entry until well into the 2030s. And of course, the IP is more popular than ever thanks to the Amazon TV show. He goes on to say 2 plus 2 equals Obsidian should make a new Fallout game. This is probably a decision that should have been made years ago, as this will not come to pass until years from now. Even with Xbox trying to accelerate timelines on AAA games, it's still going to be a years-long wait. Anything less than 3 would be a miracle. The original development cycle on Fallout New Vegas was just 18 months, but that was in 2009, and 17 years later, boy has the industry changed. And Paul is probably right about this. If I had to do a possible timeline, in 2010, the average dev cycle was about 3 to 4 years for a AAA game. New Vegas famously took 18 months, and that was of course using Bethesda's tools, and Obsidian at the time just kinda got shit done. Now in 2026, the average dev cycle is about 5 to 6 years for a AAA game. So in New Vegas terms, a new
Most at this point, most AAA games are actually like 7 to 8 years, kinda. Sure, there are 4 to 6 year ones, but
Fallout could take maybe 3 years. And to be honest, Obsidian still gets shit done. If there's one thing they can do, it's ship a fucking game. The article goes on to say at least one theory as to why Obsidian didn't start on a Fallout title at Xbox was the idea that perhaps Bethesda didn't want that. I want to
perhaps isn't this confirmed? Again, we have Todd or whoever saying that Bethesda is never gonna allow any company outside of themselves to make a mainline entry.
point out that this is not a theory. Todd has said this multiple times publicly, even if not in those exact
Yeah, I couldn't find. Yeah, I talked about this a couple of days ago. I did not try to look up for the moment, but yeah, this is unquestionable.
words. One that I remember is in 2018, he did an interview with The Guardian. This was after E3 2018, of course. And these article interviews are always weird. It doesn't really say what the question was. They just kind of go on about how Obsidian made New Vegas and this and that. So I can only assume the question was something like, would you ever let Obsidian make another Fallout game? And Todd's response is, I wouldn't say never. But now that our company is so big, it's always better to keep stuff internal. It becomes less likely, but I could never say never. I thought the Obsidian guys did a fabulous job. And Todd has had
The irony of making a PowerPoint presentation about how bad Fallout New Vegas was, right?
some form of this response to this kind of question every single time. Paul goes on to say, but now Bethesda released
I don't think no. This is not even the one I'm referring to. I'm referring to something a couple of years old, maybe 2 or 3 years old, where Todd just says that no one is going to work on mainline entries except Bethesda themselves. There should be something like that.
a somewhat underwhelming Starfield and is staring down the barrel of an Elder Scrolls 6 that will probably not be out until a decade after it was first announced. So I never miss an opportunity to rag on Starfield. I just want to point out we're right back down to where we were before that stupid fucking update. Right down to under the 5K players. And when it comes to Elder Scrolls 6 releasing, I mean, IGN has something to say about that. IGN made this article after all of the layoffs that Xbox did recently, and it's titled The Elder Scrolls 6 Will Suffer Because of Xbox Layoffs. Bethesda staff say, fearing delays, crunch, and generational talent being replaced by contractors.
I can't. Every time I hear generational talent, I want to laugh so badly.
The article goes on to say, speaking on conditions of anonymity, that's such a hard word to say. Current and former staff had told me that job losses across Bethesda Game Studio locations have removed more than 50 employees, including key high-performing people in the trenches, building the company's long-awaited Skyrim successor. This, in turn, they say, has shattered morale, raised the risk of future development crunch, and increased the likelihood that the game's already far-off completion date will be delayed.
Well, what do you mean shattered morale? While we had high morale, we got Starfield, okay? So I don't think morale matters here a lot.
Fucking people. They also said we were already running a tight ship and are worried about this delaying
Also, anyone like draws out clearly met spoon or straw or whatever the fuck it's supposed to be?
the game. And I gotta push back on this a little bit. I know a lot of people they always think that like only the executives can be wrong. All of the little guys that work at the studio, they're probably all just hardworking individuals and blah 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 blah. And I'm sure that that is true a lot of the time. But it isn't true all of the time. And in the case of Bethesda Game Studios, Do you really see a company that has increased productivity with more employees? This picture shows just Bethesda Game Studios. This is a graph that has been passed around a lot, and it usually has a bunch of other studios that were helping Bethesda Game Studios, and they would be like layered on top of these other bars. I've gotten rid of those just to show you Bethesda Game Studios themselves. At the time of releasing Starfield, they were up to about 400 employees at just BGS. When they released Skyrim, they were at about 100. Skyrim came out.
If you think this is bad, but you don't watch my World of Warcraft or Blizzard videos, Fallout, not Fallout, but Diablo 4 had 15,000. That's right, that's 15 with 3 zeros behind it. People who worked on the game attributed. That is crazy.
3 years after Fallout 3. Are we starting to notice something here? A dev team that is 4 times bigger than it was before is now apparently really struggling to make this fucking game. I'm sure a lot of that comes down to executive management and all of that, but also some people might just.
It's not even executive management. We have had people who have left Bethesda and had been, a type of interview with some outlets, some YouTubers and whatnot, and they have said that the micromanagement and the layers that every decision has to go through at Bethesda is insane. We had Asha Sharma even say that there were like 14 layers of insanity that things needed to go through, which is believable, easy. The middle manager's got to get paid for not a lot of work.
Fucking suck at their job, and they might have to be fired. There is something at Bethesda that is incredibly inefficient. It's inefficient, and there is like no
Everything that would be
quality standard whatsoever. They need big changes over at Bethesda, and if this is something that has to happen, it just fucking has to happen. There are more developers who are speaking out, but they were apparently the previous lead quest designer at Bethesda for Fallout 76. And he tweeted, "In unfortunate news, I, along with many of my peers on Fallout 76, have been laid off as a part of the larger Xbox restructuring. I'm proud of my 7 years on the project and my time helping to lead quest design for the game. I have played the entire main quest line of Fallout 76 and even most of the side quests, and I don't think that you were good at your job. Do I feel bad on a
agreed.
human level? Sure.
No, I don't feel bad on that level at all.
I don't want anybody to lose their job. But if you're bad at your job, it's time to get a new job." The article goes on to say it is likely that the studio may not have much leverage to protest something like this these days. Fallout is Xbox's. If it wants Obsidian to make a Fallout game so players can get their hands on one before 2035, it's going to do that. And yeah, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. It was the common sense move 5 fucking years ago. And it took a former Instacart executive with no gaming experience to step in and within months make that
It's actually Instacart. Sharma worked there.
decision. It shows me and it should show you that this could have been done from the start. So I do want to mention id Software real fast. id Software is a legendary team with decades of talent working together. They successfully rebooted Doom to the modern gaming era, and they were the exact thing that Asha wanted. In-house tech shared between.
And all of them are gone now. Honestly, not even a big deal. After what they did with Doom, the Dark Ages, or whatever it's called, it's bad. In any case, that was drawn out 10 out of 10. Bye.